What's your favorite Christmas gift that you ever got? Maybe as a child, maybe more recent than that. Or at least one that comes to mind for me, I must have been 10 years old, maybe 9. And I was a kid of the 80s, so that was the prime of Bo and Luke Duke, the Dukes of Hazzard. And so my aunt and uncle, I grew up Lutheran, so they were my sponsors. They were like godparents in those days. They got me this unbelievably cool race car set from the Dukes of Hazzard that had this wind-up car with a ramp, and you'd wind it up, yeehaw! And as the Duke boys jumped over or into a brick wall or something like that. But that was one of the greatest gifts I remember out of my childhood, one that certainly I can remember. Now, the irony is I have no idea how long I kept that toy or where it ended. You'd think I would have been smart enough to hang on to it, but I didn't. What's your favorite gift? As we look into 1 John, we talked at length about a lot of great things this past week. I hope you were able to resonate with it if you were here on Sunday or watched online, but the idea of Jesus, again, being the Son of God, and all that talk that John had done about love. And then we talked about faith and why faith and love pair so perfectly together for the Christian. And we talked at length about those things. And then it led us to those verses 11, 12, and 13, where it says, God has given us eternal life. God has given us eternal life, and this life is in His Son. It's Christmas. We know that gifts, like the one I talked about earlier, are given back and forth between loved ones and friends as a memory, so to speak, as a I care about you kind of thing. But at its core, as Christians especially, we should be doing that with somewhat of a mind of the gift that God gave to us in Jesus. And so when I think about what John writes here, that God has given us eternal life, could we get anything better than that? He's given us the best thing that we could imagine, eternal life and life with Him, because that life is in His Son. Jesus is the one that has given us life. God the Father gave us life through Jesus. And so that shapes everything. And just to be clear, I think far too often people, but even us Christians, we think that eternal life happens after we die here. Like the great thing will be when we get to heaven. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to take anything away from heaven because it's going to be great. But the Bible teaches us time and time again that this life that's eternal starts at the moment of salvation. So if you're a believer, if you've put your faith in Jesus, if you've answered the 3 questions that I ended the sermon with last Sunday in regards to that, then you can know that you're a Christian and you can know that you have life that is going to be eternal. Sure, it's going to change in our permanent state when we get to heaven, but it starts now, this relationship with Jesus. And so think about that just for a moment, the gift of eternal life given through God, through Jesus, His Son. Hang on to that this Christmas. Think about that as you watch your grandchildren or children or spouse open up the gift that you've given them this year. With in mind, God has given us the greatest gift we could ever have in Jesus. Have a great week. We'll see you next time.